Down. I now request Madhukar sir, Chairman ITT Committee ICI, to take over a small talk of 10 to 15 minutes.
I'm a specialist.
Please, you can
10,000 रुपया कोई भी काम दोगे 10,000 रुपया कम से कम.
Please, you can give a chance to
Then I have only problem in billing. What do I bill? Other services.
Let's see. Printing bill is a problem or submitting a bill problem?
No. Ours everything is billed. So we'll give other services. Good afternoon, and I think the topic which I have been given for 15 minutes till 3:15. After that, I'll keep some questions. If you are having some questions, then Gaurav will also listen and go back to Delhi. So it depends. Risk in 9C is the issue which has come. At which point of time I have to draw a line. So I think the first thing is we are not discussing 9 at all, only 9C. My first question is, why do you want 9C? 9C is only 5% to 10% of your opportunity. 90% of your opportunity is beyond 9C. You don't require 9C. 9C, okay, in the initial stages when people are not coming forward to us, it is government has provided you a step. You can step into the SSE and make him aware of the law, make him aware of the risk, make him aware of the value, and also end up in some certification which they want. In 9C also two types of audit are there. One where somebody else, Gaurav does the audit in normal course. He might be doing tax audit, he might be doing statutory audit, and I do the GST audit. Or nobody is there, I myself do all the audits. I myself do statutory audit, tax audit, and GST audit. These are the two variations which are there. Certainly there is a little of a gap in this, but not so big a gap. Actually these two, sometimes we are thinking that if audit is done by Gaurav, I hardly have anything to do in 9C is not correct at all. What I can rely on him is what is it that he is expected to do. So if he is doing Companies Act, whatever is there in your Caro report, you don't have to redo it. Whatever he has viewed it, he has said stocks are in control, internal control, commensurate, all this you can consider from his point of view. Plus look at it from a small yellow glass, whatever he has done. So he has said internal control commensurate with the size and nature of business, etc. You have to only ask what is the internal control in GST. And you will be surprised, though he has said it's okay, you might find there is no control at all in GST, there is no authorization. There may be no knowledgeable people. See, which is the biggest internal control in any organization is competent persons doing the recording of transaction. At least for me, the first thing I look in any internal audit or when I do GST audit is to find out whether there is a competent person. Does he know GST at all? If he doesn't know GST, then what type of entries he will make? The sales will decide everything. And you know how sales will do. No, it doesn't matter. Whether you import in Chennai or you import in Delhi, you make invoice as the way you were doing earlier. From wherever, Delhi or depot or wherever, bill to, ship to and all that, he is not even understood. So he will bill from wherever. So you are going to get into a lot of compliance mess. So first thing I think very important is that whether audit is done by the other person or by you, I think one of the things which we don't give much emphasis is what is the state of the internal control. So certainly your checklist should have internal controlling GST, whether it exists, whether if it's a large organization, 100, 200, 500 crore organization, does it have a standard operating procedure? Does it have a standard operating procedure? You should certainly qualify it that the systems are not commensurate. So whatever you can say qualify in your normal audit, look at it with a GST lens. Is my first advice. Second is, many of us are doing work which is in conflict. As of now, as far as your income tax is concerned, they are not talking about specifically various services which we provide along with your 3CD certification. They say internal audit, you should not be an internal auditor. That's all. But there are many other areas. Say you are doing accounting, you are doing verification, and there is a different view. So I think next is you have to see that you are not in conflict. I am doing the monthly returns, I verify the records, I also certify it, and then it is uploaded either by me or by the client. If I am doing all this activity, then I cannot sign IC. Somebody else has to do it. That is very clear. That I think is the biggest risk. Many of us may be having all composite. Client says anything to do with law, you have to take care. When my son requires to be married, you have to find a good girl also, which is all included in that one fee which he has negotiated with you. So you should get out of this conflict area. It's very important. I think that's a risk area for you, for all of us. Some of us have already started providing service. Now client says, anyway you have done everything. Do the GST certification also. You have to bring to the client's attention that I cannot do accounting and verification and attest function. So this I think we will have to take care of. And as I said, this is a very small area. In fact, we have a few branches in India, and the branches which are doing well are not the ones who are interested in this audit at all. We have one in Visakhapatnam. He said, I don't want to do audit. I will only do review. You get it signed by anybody you want. They are also quite comfortable because this fellow's fees is all 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs. They don't see value of a signature of 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs. But what he provides, they are finding value. So they keep him for advice and doing all this verification. But they don't want him for the certification. He is also a little strict. I am going to report. That's it. They can't get rid of him because he is giving value. And in that area, some of them maybe export refunds and all regularly he is getting without any cost. Only his fees is the cost, which is quite good as far as we are concerned. So we have allowed him to do it. I think other than this, in 9C, one of the other issues which has come up is that initially we had thought it is going to be only a mathematical exercise. But after going through the form, after we have discussed, Sanjay was there, Gaurav was there, even Rajesh was there in that meeting, Jatin was there. So, very clear. You have to look at, you have to know the GST law to be able to do this audit. If you don't know the GST law, follow the guidance note at least. Read the guidance note fully before doing. We are not calling it guidance note because guidance note is a very structured thing. It has to go to ASB. It has to go to AASB, Auditing Standards Board also. Then it has to come to council. By the time it will be 2019. And audit itself will be over. So we have decided to bring out with interim called technical guide. Technical guide to GST Form 9 and 9C or something like that, we'll call it. That's what you will get on Monday. It will be downloadable, so you can download that. But what is the important aspect is if you have to do the valuation where necessary. You have to also do classification of outward supply at least. Inward supply you can get away by saying that it is not possible. You know, like you had for that 10,000 rupees you used to give one 10,000 or 20,000 rupees in cash. You used to say that it's not possible to verify. Here also you will say supplier said not possible to verify. All the rest outward classification you will have to do. ITC you have to understand because they are asking all sorts of questions. What is await, not eligible? What is the reversal? All that they have looked at. Some of them may not be very clear also. One safeguard, 2-3 safeguards which are there in 9C which all of us should do. Number one is that this particular guidance note will come with a reference. In the preface itself we will put a reference to those areas where there is a doubt, where there are alternative views. We are going to write to the government saying these are the alternative views, or these are the areas where there is a clarification required for doing 9C. I think it's almost ready if I am not mistaken. It will be sent to the government maybe tomorrow, day after, but we'll give that link, we'll post it in the institute website. That will become a very useful thing for you because you know here there is a problem. So you have to be careful, and you should say that when you possibly have a doubt there, you should mention that clarity from government awaited as per technical guide of institute. Not that it's going to help you much, but at least it's safeguarding. Also, I think Venkat and Jatin have ensured that you have got a lot of fallback. There is a management representation which itself is some 4 pages, some 40 or 50 points. Whether your client gives it or not, I don't know. If you want to be safe, get that management representation and keep it in your file. Many of us will say, we'll get the management representation later. Later, nothing will come. So before you put your signature, let them put the signature and give you management representation. Ideally, don't give them the choice of printing on the letterhead. You send them a soft copy of that management representation. They should say yes, no and comment for each of the items. My suggestion to you, so that they just have to sign. So you have got your complete management representation which has been made to protect negligent chartered accountants, let me say. That is the way these fellows have designed. But I also felt it's a good thing. If you are doing some of those checks and not required, you can remove them also before asking the management. I think these are the broad areas where you will have some safety while doing the 9C. Other issues which can come in could be that are you applying the standards which you are supposed to be applying in your tax audit report or your company audit report. Some of us have learnt only 2 or 3. Sir, you, me and all, only 3 standards when we did. Now there are some 30 or something. So we know only some of the headings, other things we don't even know. Inside, forget it. So what I don't know, I don't certify also. I simply sign. So you may find standards compliance you have to see. In this guidance or technical guide, there is a whole chapter on which are the standards which are applicable to GST. Please see that that is followed at least. Minimum I am saying. And I think that when you communicate to the client for the first time, you have to tell them what is the scope. Whatever be oral scope, where client's expectation totally different from what is your understanding of that assignment. We have to be very careful. I'll give you one example where many chartered accountants are going to get into trouble. Almost all chartered accountants in India, more than 1 lakh as per me, have been filing returns, GST returns. But in this 1 lakh, maybe 90,000 of them, this is my estimate, it could be little less or little more also. More than 90%, that is 90,000 of them are getting information from the client. Maybe not in time also. Maybe 1 day time, 2 days time is there. That also it comes as an Excel sheet. They are not seeing invoice, they are not seeing anything, no internal control, no verification, nothing. Simply whatever is coming, you are uploading. That the 12th standard pass could have done. I don't know why we do. We are doing because we quoted 15,000, client reduced it to 2,000. You said, ठीक है 2,000 देता है तो 2,000. And my office boy is doing all this job, or maybe first year article. Client doesn't give information, you are asked for information, he doesn't give. How am I asking information? I am picking up the phone and telling, नहीं आया आपका, हाँ भेज देंगे सर, इस बार तो कर दीजिए, अगले बार देखेंगे. We are accommodating the clients in doing all this. I think this is a very, very big problem area which you are going to face for the future of your profession. Your profession, not in ICI. ICI का खराब नाम होगा वो दूसरा बात. You will lose the client because after 2 or 3 years, client will get a notice. And when he gets a notice, he will say, "ये हिरेगंगे के पास गया था. I thought he knows GST, but he has done this." When I ask my assistant, he says, "Sir, 10 बार पूछा है उससे." Then I'll ask him, "Show me the email." "Sir, email नहीं है." Yeah. Then H&A has to lose that certificate of practice. Correct? This is actually happening. This should be stopped. Either you verify and upload, or if you are not verifying and uploading, ensure that communication is clear that you are not verifying. You have not been able to verify, and therefore I have only uploaded. The risk of any mistake in this is totally yours. Put it in the email, talk to him on the phone also. Or talk to him on the phone, as explained in the phone, I am putting very clearly what is the limitation, scope limitation. In fact, I think audit engagement letter, all that also is part of our format. So instead of having your office format, I would suggest you can merge the office format to the format which we have given. So that if you are not very aware of GST, you will get some additional points for clarity. I think these are some of the main risks which I am seeing to the profession. The best way to do is don't do a 9C. The best way of practicing GST is don't do 9C at all. There is enough and more facility in GST to earn 10 times or 100 times what you are going to charge for 9C. So if I have a 500 crore client, I will prefer doing a review work for him like an internal audit of GST rather than do his certification. I do internal audit and tell him later when he asks me to sign, I'll say, here is the institute clarification which has come recently. Internal audit cannot be done. Internal audit cannot be done by GST auditor. Give him that, say that I am constrained by my institute. Up, don't look. Normally client will say, no, you only get it done. Get into that. That is also something some of us will do. Later when it comes to the client will say, no, I gave it to Madhukar and he only got it done. I don't even know who that fellow who signed this. Then who is going to be fixed? Madhukar only. So we have to be very careful in these things, I think, which we may not have been careful in the income tax. Let me also tell you, the demands in income tax are peanuts compared to the demands in indirect tax. In income tax, you have 100 crore turnover, you have a 5 crore profit. In that 5 crore, you try to look at 1 crore to make it, deductible and don't pay on that, it's 30 lakhs. But a 100 crore company, you make, if the client has made a mistake of charging 12% instead of 18%, you are looking at 1 full year's turnover after 5 years. Turnover, not profit. Profit was 5 crores per year. 5 into 5 is 25. But the demand will be 100 crores for this particular mistake. And who is the person who is going to get blamed? You just think. Why you couldn't tell us? You could have told us rate was not this. You might have even asked him, why are you charging this? It's 18. No, everybody in my industry is charging 12. How can I compete otherwise? So this is again oral. Have you recorded it? You should have recorded. These are all important aspects where you have a difference with the client. Please see, even if you are a review auditor, not even 9C auditor, you should communicate everything. Many of us in the past, because of the state of the economy, because of the way we got our articleship. My boss never did it, so I don't do. I think that's the best practice. We don't communicate in writing. And in fact, in this regime, everything is dependent on communication. Yesterday I had a person, sir, from your area only. He's taking a nap anyway, from his area. He said, I am an MP, this, that, very powerful fellow. But there's 4 times he went to the DGCI, and all 4 times they threatened arrest. And he wrote whatever they wanted. He knew, he said, I know this fellow, I know that fellow, he knew everybody. But whoever he knew, this fellow still threatened him with arrest. What was his mistake? His mistake was that he never communicated anything in writing. First time he went, they didn't behave properly, they threatened him. His general manager was told that we will beat you also. Not only will arrest you, we will first beat you nicely. All this they didn't bother to put. They should have put a record. Send one copy to PMO office. Finished. He may even get transferred. But one thing is sure, he will stop harassing you. But you have to put it in record. Whatever goes wrong, put it in record. With the client or the department. I would say that is advice which I have followed for so many years, and it has helped me a lot. Though I don't have the knowledge, or really I am not, it's not that every officer I am having to fight with. I have to fight with 1 or 2 officers per year. A few years back, there was one fellow who got gold medal for collection. He was from North India. He was about 6 foot something. When Rajesh had gone for something, he said, I am going to cut the tail of you and your firm. So nothing. Then he said, anything else, sir? Nothing. Then he went for his hearing. After that, he went to the commissioner's office and gave a complaint. Exactly what that fellow had said. But what happened? What happened after that is, when next time Rajesh went there, they told him, no hearing, first commissioner. You must have done something big. Everybody has been told. So Rajesh went, and then he met the commissioner, and commissioner told him, please sit down, and extra care. Chai pilaya. After that, he told this person, I think he is little from the north, a little more Josh or something like that. He placated Rajesh and told him, how many cases are there before him. So he had maybe 100 cases there, but with him, that particular officer, some 20 was there. So he said, you tell me which officer I should reallocate, I will reallocate. We will take action against him also. Oral. This is oral. Commissioners will not deny writing. But all the cases got reallocated. Rajesh said, I don't care. I am not even saying he should not be there. No, we will not keep him. He allocated all the cases to others. This is just one piece of paper. Whatever he told, he put in writing, gave it to you. What happens? They are careful. They don't open their mouth at all. Plus, it's a big headache. Now, if Gaurav is not paying money, but he knows the law inside out. If I am one of the officers, I have given a frivolous show cause notice to Gaurav. When he replies itself, it is like hitting me. You have not considered this, this has not been done. Assume that I am the adjudicating authority also, I will pass an order and I will say all irrelevant. Next stage, Gaurav is even having more. He will say, the officer says irrelevant. Let me explain in 10 different points how it is not irrelevant. One, why it is not irrelevant. And this paper, which he has given to the Commissioner Appeals, comes back to me. I have to reply. Because Commissioner Appeal has to give answer. No, what I will reply? I have not seen the Lord. So this is what is going to happen. Yeah, mine is over already. 15 to 20 years old. If there is any question, I will take. Otherwise, I don't want to delay. If he loses his flight, then there may be a problem. Any question, I will take. Otherwise, we close at this point. Anything only on the risk of 9C.